Starting off with Immersive Engineering, you're going to be finding ores buried in the ground, being lead, bauxite, nickel, silver, and uranium. And you're going to find these at a variety of different kind of the normal heights that you'd find normal ores, generally all pretty much higher than diamond. The first thing you can make is the engineer's manual with a book and a lever. The engineer's manual has everything you need to know about immersive engineering, but you don't really need it because you've got me. So the first actual thing you're going to make is this here, the engineer's hammer, and also the engineer's wire cutters. You will need the hammer to actually complete the multi-blocks that we're going to be building, and it's also really useful at making plates out of ingots, something that's going to be used in a lot of immersive engineering recipes. There are also some alloys in immersive engineering, and these are things like electrum, I believe. There's a few others, and you will also need to actually smash your ores into grit, as you see here. If we look at gold grit, you can see with silver and gold grit, we make electrum grit, which we can smelt up into electrum ingots. And that's how you can actually make your alloys as well. For the wire cutters, we're going to be actually cutting our plates that we've made of the hammer and then turn that into wires, which is how we're going to basically transport electricity around and also use it in a variety of recipes. So one of the few things that you're going to make very early on is treated wood. So how do we make treated wood? You can see here I've got wooden storage crates and wooden barrels, so you can input things from the top, like using a hopper. And there's these wooden storage crates. Now, as you can see, I've put my engineer's screwdriver in here, another tool you can use to turn your machines around, etc. If I broke this wooden storage crate, the actual things inside it stay. So you can use this as a chest that you can stack on top of each other as well. And when you break them, the contents stay inside. So it's a really easy way, especially if you're actually in an adventure pack. You can use these to lug around lots of different items. You can have all different crates in your inventory full of loads of items. And another basic item is industrial hemp. Once these are fully grown, we can actually use them in a few things. Hemp rope coils, we can turn them into string. So it's actually a way of growing string using the Immersive Engineering mod. And we can also make it into tough fabric, which is used for insulating our wires, which we're going to use for transporting electricity, and lots of other things. But generally, the things in here we're going to be covering in the intermediate video. So, first things first, how do we get or make treated wood? That is going to be in the coke oven. If I get my coke bricks here, which are made very simply, usually with clay, bricks, and sand in the middle, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. I'm then going to fill all of this in. And the important bit is I'm going to get my engineer's hammer and right-click the center, which is going to make this strange-looking hole, shall we say, in the middle. We can then right-click the coke oven, and it opens up the inventory. One thing I want to let you know about immersive engineering, if you see a little blue icon like that, that means input, and the little orange one means output. I am simply going to put in here my coal, and you can put in blocks of coal. It will just take a lot longer. And slowly but surely, if you can see on the left-hand side, 8, 9, 10%, it does take a while. I would recommend making a few coke ovens if you can to make your treated wood. Eventually, what you're actually going to get in here, as you can see, is coal coke. And we can use that as an energy source, same as coal. But what you're going to get as a byproduct is creosote oil, as you can see here. And what we're going to do with that creosote oil, we can simply put a bucket in the top, and it will output a bucket of creosote. And then to make the treated wood planks, or how we're going to make the treated wood in immersive engineering, is going to be getting a bucket of that creosote and just surrounding it with wooden planks. And that will make treated wood planks for you. And these treated wood planks are also going to be very, very useful for a myriad of different uses in immersive engineering that I'll be showing you shortly. Then, after you've been banging out your hammers into plates and then grit to make into alloys, maybe that's a bit boring. You're like, how can I automate this a bit more? Well, that's where we have the alloy kiln. You can see in here, I'm using blocks of coal to heat it, and I'm using silver and gold ingots to turn them straight into electrum ingots. What we can do with this one is simply go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, hit any part of it with our engineer's hammer, and then we have made the alloy kiln. You can see here we can make insulating glass, constant tan ingots with nickel and copper, and also silver and gold into electrum. You can't use the raw ores, you do need to use the ingots in the alloy kiln. Then we now have the crude blast furnace. And if you're wondering what does this do, well, this is how we make steel. So this is how we're going to get and make steel in Immersive Engineering. It's very simple. You're going to put iron. Well, actually, let me show you how to make it first. I am getting ahead of myself. So we're going to need some blast bricks. Again, generally very simple to make. You will generally need to go to the nether to get nether bricks and magma, though. And again, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then if you right-click the center with your engineer's hammer, ta-da, we have the crude blast furnace. In this one, you're going to put coal, again, in the bottom. No, that's a lie. We're going to put coal coke in the bottom. It must be coal coke in the blast furnace. And you can put iron ingots in the top. And that is how you make steel in Immersive Engineering. So this is actually going to make the steel in here for you. Now, this is quite slow, again, as you can see, and it cannot be automated. So what we can make is the advanced, or well, it's called improved, blast furnace. Now, it's actually simpler than it looks. You are going to need to make reinforced blast bricks, which is using a steel plate with blast bricks. So once you've made your first lot of steel ingots, what I would recommend is just getting your engineer's hammer and hammering the steel ingots that you've made in your crude blast furnace into steel plates. And then using those with the blast bricks you've already made. So just deconstruct once you've got 27 steel ingots or 27 steel plates. Then just break your blast furnace and pick up the blast bricks, add the steel plates to them to make reinforced blast bricks. And again, as you can see here, it's a free by 3 that we're going to put on here. And then we can also use these blast furnace preheaters to heat it up and make it go even faster. And these are quite simply made of some iron sheet metal, which is iron plates, an external heater, which again can be made of LV wire coils, if you're not sure how to make those. It's copper wire, again made from plates, etc., with the tools I've shown you. And that's pretty much it for these items. It's actually a lot less intimidating than it looks. And once you've then got all of those, we're again going to get our engineer's hammer and just right-click on the center unit. You are going to need to have to power these. What I've done here is I've just put some creative batteries on top, again from Immersive Engineering. However, over here, I'm showing you how to do it properly. We can use an LV wire connector with our battery or wherever it's coming from, and this is how you connect wires, okay? We use an LV wire connector, and then we just right-click the wire like an LV wire coil from each one that you want to connect. So if I actually take these LV connectors, I put one on here and one on here, and I get my LV wire coil, low voltage, and I just right-click, and it's automatically going to put power into the preheater. Of course, you can use whatever mod you'd like to actually input power into here. And then you can see the fan will be going if I actually put some iron in here. And you can see it here, it says here, preheaters are on the left and right, and you can see the little fan going there because these are powered. There's also some smoke coming out the top. So you can put hoppers in the top, and you can input your coal coke and both your iron into the top here. And then out the back is where you're going to get your slag. This is another byproduct. You can see I've made some more here. Slag can be made into fertilizer or cooked up into slag glass, which you'll need for high voltage wire relays. You can use an extracting conveyor belt to pull out the slag from the back into a chest. And out the front, you can use an extracting conveyor belt to output the steel ingots. And if you want to use the entire Immersive Engineering mod to automate this, that is how I would do it. If you're not sure about conveyor belts, don't worry, because here we go with conveyor belts. So there's lots of conveyor belts you can make, as you can see here, with Immersive Engineering. If I get a basic one, you can see when I place it on the floor, I can say which way do I want it to go. Do I want it to go that way? Do I want it to go that way? You know, this will just kind of go down that way. I can also use vertical ones, as you can see here. And if you get the engineer's hammer, I can just shift-click, and that is actually how you make it vertical or not. Well, not vertical, but incline to go up to the next one. So if I place one here, You can see it's automatically going to connect as well. This is called a dropping conveyor belt. It's got a hatch in it, basically. So if I throw on this LV, whatever it's called, you can see, blop, it's disappeared. Oh my gosh, I've gone to another one. And that has gone into there. And that is with the dropping conveyor belt. There's a few we can use here. There's the vertical conveyor belt. Like if I put this on here, it's going to go up. And you can see it gets taken up vertically rather than a slant. I have a splitting one. So I can put these kiln bricks on here, and it's going to split which way they go. So one that way, then one that way, then one that way, then one that way. An extracting conveyor belt does what you'd expect. It'll extract from the chest. So I can put this chest in here, and you can see it's then extracted out automatically. What else haven't I showed you in this little bit? Oh, yes. You can add dyes. So if I add white dye, oh, it's not called white dye. Yes, it is. If I add white dye, I can just right-click it on these conveyors, just so you can see where your production lines, etc. You can colour them. We've got the redstone controlled conveyor belt. You can see here, with the redstone controlled one, if I add redstone or not, it will stop and start the conveyor belt. And then there's these covered versions, which you can make for all types of conveyor belts in Immersive Engineering. Just, you can't stand on them. Like, I can accidentally pick that up, or I can accidentally fall onto the conveyor belt, and so can the animals. There's a sheep over there somewhere earlier. With these, you can't, so it's much easier to kind of get around them. If they're in your way, you can use these versions. And you can see here some of the covered versions as well. The other thing I want to show you is item routers. Oh my god, go away. Item routers here. It is quite simplistic how these will filter items. We have our input here with the extracting conveyor belt. So items are coming in from this chest, creative accumulators, and then it's either coming out through the red side or the yellow side. East is yellow, red is north. Let's say I use my white dye, and I say I want it to go down this way, which is north. I'm going to just press that in there, left click it, so white dye is going north, okay? If I then put white dye in here, you're then going to see it will go north because it has been filtered. If I then change that off and put it in east, it's then going to go through east instead. Did I do that right, colour? Yes, there it is, all in there. And that's kind of how you use the item filters. And you can use tags. You can say, do I want to filter item based on their tags, their MBT data, or damage? And what damage does is it says, will I ignore armor and weapon damage, etc. or not? Tags can be like forge ores. So I could use tags, and it would use the tags from silver. So it'd be like all ores. Any different kind of ores would go through or not. So it's quite a simple sorting system for Immersive. The last thing I want to show you is these item silos and fluid tanks. They're very, very basic. You can input from the top, basically, and output at the bottom. Item silos, you can put in loads of items. I think it's like the equivalent of like 100 chests or something, 64 chests, something like that. And then fluid tanks here. It's very simple. It's 4 treated wood fences. And remember, I showed you how to make treated wood earlier. And then leave the inside hollow like that. So for these fluid ones, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 at the bottom, and total hollow interior. And for the item silos, it's 6, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 on the bottom, and again, you'll see it's a hollow interior apart from the very bottom, which is literally the ground and the top. And that's how you make item and fluid silos for Immersive Engineering. Just to recap then, we've looked at the ores we can get and the basic tools we're going to use. Oh, I've forgotten something. I forgot to show you the engineer's workbench and how we're going to use blueprints. So not time to recap yet. So this is the engineer's workbench, very easy to make. And you can see in here we've got different recipes and we've got blueprints. So there's a few different blueprints. Some, like patterns, I can make, or components. The components blueprint is made in a crafting table with iron, aluminum, copper, blue dye and some paper, and that will make you specifically a crafting components blueprint. Whereas if I want to make the common projectiles one, it's the same with the blue dye and the paper, but I'll use gunpowder and an empty casing. And I can put that blueprint in here, in this little slot on the left of my engineer's workbench, and then you can see the recipes that can be made with it. If I go into this one, you can see here, iron mechanical components, which if I press R for Immersive for JEI, you can see here it needs iron plates and copper ingots. So I put in here iron plates and copper ingots. See, it goes grey, and if I put the resources in, it goes that. And I can just literally left click to pull out those recipes, and I can make a lot of different things. If I add in copper plates and Duraplast sheets, I can now make circuit backplanes. There's only 6 slots. I wish there was more. So if you do want to make lots of different things, you can see what they need here by hovering over them. Like a vacuum tube needs glass, nickel plates, copper wires, and redstone dust. If I put all of those items in there, then I could pull out vacuum tubes. And that is how we use blueprints. Some blueprints, like arc furnace electrodes, you can see here, I can't get a recipe for. They can only be traded or found in dungeon chests, is usually how it is. But those are going to be quite useful recipes to use in a lot of the things we'll be covering in the intermediate part of this video. So we've got storage versions here. We've got wooden barrels and wooden storage crate. But there's also lanterns you can make. From Immersive, it's just a bit of glowstone, etc., and they're really nice looking. And there's also these posts as well. And what you can do with your engineer's hammer is right-click which side you want the post bit to come out. You can only have them coming out one at a time, but then you can put lanterns or you can put wires, etc., on top of those, and it can look really quite nice. So we've got our storage, we've got our ores, our basic tools, our hemp, how to make treated wood using coal, coal coke, and creosote. We've got how to use and make alloys, how to use and make the crude and improved blast furnace to make steel ingots, how to transport power a bit, but we're going to go through power all in the intermediate part, and then conveyors and logistics, and also some storage as well. Now that we've got through the basics, let's actually look at how we're going to generate power. How are we going to power our machines, and how are we going to move that power around? The first thing you're going to see here is these accumulators. These are the batteries of Immersive Engineering. To show you an example, I'm going to use the creative one and then show you how we're going to move the power around from the creative one. So you can see here there's orange slots. I can change it to blue for input, orange for output, or nothing. I am going to be using the top side for this tutorial. Then I'm going to put my LV wire connector on. That's basically how we move power from A to B. Can't do a 3-step process from A to B to C, just A to B. If I then put an LV accumulator here, you can see blue again for input. Put one on top, get your wire coil, and if you see this here, LV wire coil. So you make copper wire, you then turn it into wire coil, and that is what you're going to use to transport your electricity. Low voltage, medium voltage, high voltage. That will electrocute you if you touch it. So you can use your tough fabric that you make from your hemp, and that will make an insulated version, which will not electrocute you. High voltage doesn't have an insulated version though. So I can just right click it there and right click there, and it'll join up the power. Because that is orange for output, that will output power from there, transfer it into here. And can you see the power is going in there? That is how you're going to power your machines. That is how you're going to transport power around. Maybe, though, we want to go from A to B to C. You do the same thing. Output here, input here, output here, input here. But what if we don't want to do that? Well, we can use something called relays. So in this one, we're outputting, and it's going up to this relay using the posts I showed you earlier. A relay is what it says. It's to relay it. So I can then go from here to here to here, which is a transformer. But the good thing about relays is I can actually go from here. Oh, no. In fact, let me show you how to take off your wires. So I could just right click that and it will take the wire off with a engineer's wire cutter. And I can right click that one. And I can't attach a wire here. It's so stupid. Okay, well, it won't let me attach one there, but what I wanted to show you is, like, if we look over here, can you see with this relay? So these ones, you can only go from A to B, but look at this relay. It's got 3 wires attached to it. And you can actually put multiple onto these relays. That's what I'm trying to show you. I'm not sure why it wouldn't let me actually do it on this one. It was a bit bizarre. Might have been the angle. It might, if it can't snap to it, it doesn't like the angle sometimes. But as you can see here, we've got 2 going into this one. and then it's relaying down to this transformer. What this transformer is doing is it's going from medium voltage to low voltage. And this is when you need to swap voltages around, you can use these transformers. And now you can see how we're transporting the power. So that's how we're going to transport power around. But how are we going to make any power to actually use? Well, the first thing you may want to use is a water wheel. If I just make a little wall here like this, and I'm just going to right click here, say, and I'm going 1, 2, 3. This can be 1 to 3 wide. And I'm just simply going to, not on the very top, but on the next one, go 1, 2, 3. And that's going to obviously pour the water on. And can you see it's now moving the water wheel? We've, however, have made a big mess. All you need to really do here, I mean, depends where you might be using it. You could be using it in somewhere that already is enclosed or in a lake, etc., making it all aesthetical and pretty. Not like me in my super flat. And there we go. The water wheel is making power. To actually get the power out, I'm just going to break that one. And can you see that's where the little circle is, like the very center? Well, on there, you're going to use this thing, a kinetic dynamo. However, when you place it against it, you'll see the hole is facing you. That is where we want to connect it to the water wheel. So get your engineer's hammer and right click, and that is going to rotate it round. See, I can keep rotating it. And then this little dot on the back, we can put an LV wire connector on it. Get our LV wire LV accumulator, our Immersive Engineering battery. Put our connector on there. Get our cable and just connect that up. Oh my God, why is it not liking me? There we go. Connecting that from there to there. And that will automatically pull energy out of the dynamo and into your LV accumulator. You can see there the energy is going up that we have made from our water wheel. And that is via kinetic energy. Another way to do this is with the windmill. As you can see here, I'm just going to break this one off and start again so I can show you. And with the windmill, similar process. We can get our windmill, and it is its own block like this, you see. Same as the windmill, you just put windmill blades on there. Right click it to where you want, so let's say there. And the higher it is, the more wind it will, the more power it will produce. Same as before, knock off the top one, and then put the kinetic dynamo, twist it round so that it is facing into like the bolt, if you will. You could kind of see how the rotor is going in there. And it will actually get stuck on things. Can you see here it's getting stuck on me? And then it's going to start spinning. We can then actually get sails here, windmill sails, and these are made with the, again, the hemp that I showed you from the industrial hemp seeds that we can grow, industrial hemp fibre, into tough fabric, and then into a windmill sail. You just make some of these, you can simply right-click them like that, and you can see it's already speeding up and therefore making more energy. Same as before, a kinetic dynamo. That will reach the ground fine, but I've just used a relay here to kind of show you different ways that we can use relays, etc., to transport power around. And you can see this one has already filled up this battery. Another very cool way that you can actually make power is with a thermoelectric generator. If we go into our engineer's manual and go power, wires and generators, and then, where is it? Thermoelectric. You can see there's a table here. And basically you want to put the coolest material opposite to the hottest. You could use water and lava. If you want the best, it's going to be blue ice and uranium. And we could just make the thermoelectric generator. Put blue ice on one side, see it, and then uranium on the other. That will make power. Again, you're going to output the LV connectors on top, going into a battery. Very, very simple for those ones. And you can, you know, make a huge farm of these, sort of like I am. I won't call this a huge farm, but you could make a huge farm and just put more and more and more into it, a relay like that and power a battery like that. And those are the 3 basic ways of generating power within Immersive Engineering. Before we move on now to more advanced machines, there's actually just a few basic ones that I'd really love to show you that a lot of people don't know about and they're really useful. Number 1 is the external heater. Basically, when you put this next to a furnace, if I get some, what's it called? Logs. Oh my God. Do I really play Minecraft? I'm like, what are they called? I can put an oak log in here. You see there's no fuel in here. Well, the external heater, which you can see is on, which will turn off in a second. There you go. It's turned off. Will actually basically provide the furnace with heat. All you have to do is power it from the back here. So again, putting an LV connector on here. and then putting it on to some power. And that basically is called an external heater and can be used to heat furnaces. One of my favorite items in all of immersive engineering now, the garden cloche. Power it from the top, as you can see here, and then put water in the back. I'm using mechanism for that, being a bit lazy. There's a black hole you could kind of see there. You pump water in the back. Items output here with this orange dot. If we right click it, can you see that water is going in? Fertilizer is going in. Now the fertilizer automatically goes in when I put the water in. Some mod packs will actually make you pump in your own fertilizer. As default, Immersive Engineering does not require you to add fertilizer in manually. It's normally only like harder mod packs that make you do that. And you put in your soil at the bottom. There's 2 slots here for your seed or whatever you're growing and your dirt. This is going to do like ender pearls or ender lilies and lots of things like that. Generally, a lot of things can be grown in here. So you could put in netherrack and netherwort, all sorts of things like that. Maybe even coral, I'm not sure. But you can put in so many different things. It works with so many different mods. And as you can see, it's going to really quickly just grow that wheat. Every kind of few seconds, really, you can see it's going to the next growth stage. And then there again. So it's taken like, 10, 20 seconds to make a piece of wheat. And it's just going to fill up here with the wheat and the seeds. And you can just output these however you want with item pipes, etc. on this socket here. Lastly, we have the charging station. This is really useful. Power it at the back. It's not the most intuitive. I can use my configurator here. Can you see on the green bar? It's not that full. And I can just right click it. And then it's going to tell you how charged it is depending on these 3 things here. Can you see it's gone green? The color changes at the front. And now it's like, because it's like really charged. And then I just right click it and take out the fully charged item. So it's fairly simple. It kind of gives you an indication of how charged it is, but it's good for just charging little bits and bobs, really. So now it is actually time to leave the basics behind and go on to, as you can see on my huge engineering map here, more advanced machines, starting with the metal press. So these are all multi-blocks that I'm going to be showing you. I'm going to be showing you some really useful ones, and then we're going to go on to advanced power. So starting off with the metal press, how do you make it? Well, the way we make multi-blocks is we place them like this in the recipe, and you can use your, where is it gone? Engineer's manual to see these as well. But it's a bit annoying in here. For the metal press, you're going to put 2 steel scaffolding, a redstone engineering block, a piston facing down, 2 conveyor belts going, whichever way, and then a heavy engineering block. And you are simply going to, also, when I'm showing you these, just pause on the video. When I'm doing these, I'm purposely kind of stopping with it in view so that you can see the recipe to make these multi-blocks to make it a bit easier for you. You just right-click it with your engineer's hammer, and it will turn it into the machine. And, oh, look, we've got one already set up. So you are going to need for the metal press some molds. Using the engineer's workbench, we can make the engineer's blueprint for molds. Put that in here. It's going to need steel plates and an engineer's wire cutters. And you can see all the recipes here. Plates, wires, rods, etc., bullet casings. And you can also make packing 3x3. So this will actually pack up like ingots and stuff, or the plates, into 3x3 counterparts so you could store them easier if you have an insane amount of them. So I can then go, okay, I would like the plate mold, please. And then basically, I'm just actually going to throw that away because I've already got one on here. I'm going to walk up to it, and you can see on the actual plate press, you're just going to right click and it'll add that press to it. Shift right click to then remove it. We can add a redstone lever to this red dot. Same for all machines. When you see the red dot, you can add a redstone lever or any type of redstone signal, and that is actually going to be able to, turn it on or off. And then I'm going to put in here some iron ingots, and here they come, and they're going to get pressed into iron ingots. So you could just put a chest at the end where the plates will then go into. Isn't that amazing? And yes, we can use the redstone signal to turn it on or off. To power it, it's going to be up here. And specifically, you can see this little orange dot. That's how you know on the machines where to power them. Let's get my MV wire coil. Oh, no. And repower that. Not that I need it because I've already shown you. Next one is going to be the crusher. This is another one of my favorites. It's going to crush up ores and double them for you. On the bottom, it's basically going to be a lot of steel and some light engineering blocks. Then in the middle, we're going to put a redstone engineering block with a light engineering here, a light engineering there, 3 more on the side, and then surround it all with steel fences, as you can see here, just surrounding that, and there's a corner missed out. Right-click the middle steel fence, and you'll then get the crusher. So again, redstone on or off here. Power goes in here, and then to output any items is at the front here. To import items, you actually just shove it into the crusher to crush up. So if I show you the one I've made earlier, you can see I'm powering it from here. I've put an extracting conveyor at the front to put the items into here. Redstone control, and all I can do is get some iron ore and just chuck it in like that. And can you see all the iron grit is then coming out? And it will also give you some nickel as well. So we're doubling our iron ores into 2 rather than 1. And it's just amazing. And it's just done all of those like that. Another 24. It's really, really fast. It's actually one of the quickest ways to ore double in modded Minecraft. Just like that. And that is the crusher. Next up, we have the sawmill. And after the sawmill, we're going to be going through to kind of more advanced power, really. I have to get rid of that conveyor because, my God, the sound is so loud with the saw blade on. I know you can't hear it, but for me, it's like my ears. So this is the sawmill. Again, it's more steel scaffolding. Be careful because that one in the middle there is a heavy engineering block and the one at the back are light. Then some iron sheet metal. Put some conveyors on, make sure they're going the right way. Another heavy here. Iron sheet metal, redstone. And then you click this middle iron sheet metal to complete it. So basically, items can go in from the left. Oh, I should actually do this. And then they come out through the right. Any excess sawdust will come out the front here. So sawdust out the front, the items come off here. You power it on the top in the middle. So let's put through some oak logs. And you're going to see something specific is going to happen here. I put in my oak logs. You're going to see they go through and only get stripped. And the sawdust is coming out. And you're going to say, well, hang on a minute. I wanted actually planks. Well, you may notice there's no saw blade. So you need to actually make a saw blade and then right-click it into there. And now it will actually saw them for you as well, while still getting the sawdust coming out the front. And we've also got the redstone here. And that is how you use the sawmill. Oh, one more. This is the assembler. This is my favourite one of all. Basically, same again. Make it like this. This is the bottom. And this is the top. You then actually are going to put on 3 more sheet metal here. And then you're going to put slabs on the sides. So you can see I put slabs on the sides. And the conveyor's going whichever way you want. And then you just right-click the conveyor. Like that. When we go in here, and again, it's powered from the top, redstone on the front. When we go in here, there's 3 different recipes, right? We can make all sorts of things. If I put oak log in the recipe slot, it can make oak planks. I can then put the oak logs in here, and it'll just start making them. We can also input fluids through this fluid pipe hole here. And if it needs like water buckets, it will actually fill the water buckets in the recipe from that water you're piping in, which is amazing. What I can then do is take out the oak planks and go, oh, I'm going to make some doors. And it can actually make the doors out of the oak planks that you are making from here. So you can use 3 different recipes or, 1, 2, and then 3, like an assembly line. And then you can have it going from this assembler into the next one, into the next one. And have a whole assembly line, like that made if you would like. And then you could just output them here. They won't go anywhere. They'll just stay sort of in here unless you output a conveyor or a chest, etc. for them to go to. Now, we're going to really start looking at the squeezer, the fermenter, and the refinery, but really with the goal of making this the diesel generator. This is one of the best ways of making power in immersive engineering. So let's start off with the squeezer. So just to be clear here, we're making biodiesel to put it in the diesel generator to make our end game immersive engineering power. We're going to need plant oil and ethanol to do that. So how are we going to make our plant oil? Well, this is the squeezer, and we're going to be squeezing up plant oil from seeds. Hemp from immersive engineering is generally the best for that. The squeezer looks like this. It's pretty simple. 4 barrels here, etc. I'm sure you get it by now how to make these multi-blocks. If you're not sure, remember you can check in the manual. And redstone control here. It's powered on here. We can output items in this slot and fluids in this slot. Remember, blue is in input, out is orange, out is output, out is orange. Well, out is orange. So we can output fluids down here, items up here. And then input is going to be through these 2 blue slots. So let's put in the hemp seeds, slowly going in. And the cool thing about this is it's very immersive, of course. And you can see it being squeezed into plant oil. Now, with this, you will get some hemp with it. And again, you can output those items through here. And that's going to get you your plant oil. Then we have the fermenter. Very similar. You power it on the top left here, redstone, etc. Items come out here, fluids come out here. Items go in the same 2 slots. And it's made very similarly, except it's 4 cauldrons and then iron sheet metal on top. Basically in here, I'm going to be putting in potatoes. And it's going to, you can't really see it doing anything, but they're fermenting in there, just trust and believe. And it's turning it into ethanol. And again, you're going to output the ethanol here. After you've made both of those, we're going to make a refinery, which looks like this. So I'm actually going to show you a bit more here. Basically, it's 2 scaffolding at the back, 2 at the back, 2 at the front, 2 at the front. And then you're going to put heavy engineering blocks at the front, 2 light engineering blocks at the back, fluid pipe all the way through on the bottom, and then iron sheet metal, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then right click this one, and there's a redstone one there. And then ta-da, you've made the refinery. This will use the ethanol and the plant oil, can't remember what it's called now, with a catalyst to make the diesel for your generator. So we're going to input ethanol from the right side here, or left side, it actually doesn't matter. Redstone again, lever can turn it on or off here. We're going to power it from the back here. And then your plant, what's it called? It is plant oil, is going to come in the other side. So you could have your squeezer going in here and your fermenter going in here, as like I have done. And then we're going to put in nitrate dust, which can be made in the crusher, like I showed you earlier. If you put in sand and stuff, you've got a chance to get nitrate dust. You just put 1 in as a catalyst, and it'll last forever. I'm pretty sure it's been there a long while, so I'm pretty sure it lasts forever. And that'll make you your biodiesel. You can also bucket it out using this blue slot here, bucket in here, bucket, then outputs here with the biodiesel. Then we're going to make the actual biodiesel generator. On the bottom, it's going to be fluid pipes here, and then steel scaffolding, radiators at the back. The radiators you need 9 of, as you can see here, 3, 3, 3. Fluid pipe in the middle, a generator block, and then 2 more fluid pipes. And then 3 more generator blocks at the front. Fill it all up with heavy engineering blocks and a redstone engineering block. And then add 5 more heavy on top with, you know, the extra 3 radiators. And then you just right click this one into the diesel generator. So biodiesel can go in this blue hole and this one here. Power is going to come out of these 3 slots with high voltage, and a redstone lever can be added here. So looking at it all together, you can see the fan going, the smoke coming out. You know it's working. It's very loud. And you're going to put high voltage wire connectors on all 3 of here. You can see here I'm outputting it to this battery. If I put 2 more on here, HV wire coil, you can see it's filling up the battery fast as ever. And again, biodiesel going in here. So this is the automated setup I've made. So I've just got a creative accumulator here as a battery, and I've put it going into some wooden posts with some relays going all across. And what I'm doing is I'm using a garden cloche with industrial hemp. You will need more than one. This is just an example of how you could set this up and automate it. Using industrial hemp going into the squeezer, and there's hemp fiber coming out, and it's being squeezed into plant oil. The hemp fiber would need to be pulled out of here into a bin or something, and the plant oil is coming out into the refinery. And then over here, I've got my fermenter. Again, I'm using a cloche to make potatoes, putting them in, and I'm outputting the ethanol. It's just going under the ground and then coming back up into the refinery. And then out the front here is my I need my catalyst, my nitrate, and there comes the biodiesel coming out the front of the refinery. And this is all automated. So again, I've just put some wooden posts up here for relay going along and powering with connectors, the cloche and the squeezer, and going again to another post and powering the refinery, and again with the fermenter and the cloche here. You can see the wires really can go quite a long way as long as they don't get hit by anything. And then that biodiesel is just coming out under the ground. You can kind of see here into the biodiesel generator. And that is how you can automate your biodiesel for endgame immersive engineering. One other way that you can actually make endgame energy is with the lightning rod here, although I don't really think it's that good. Basically, there's 4 steel scaffolding, some HV accumulators, and then 3 high voltage coils in the center. Puts 4 light engineering blocks on top with some treated fence, and then surround it with copper coils like this, and then just right click the light engineering block. That'll turn it into a lightning rod like this. You can add connectors here for the power to come out, and then add like a steel fence net, as you can see here, on top to increase the chance of it being hit. However, I've been standing here for like 5 minutes and it still hasn't been hit. I think the chance of it actually being hit is quite low. It's a cool idea, but I don't think it's really that good. But I wanted to show you it anyway, in case it is something, you want to try out. Now that we have all of this power we're making, let's actually have a look at how we can utilize it. This huge monstrosity is the arc furnace, the piece de resistance of immersive engineering. Basically, it can smelt up an insane amount of ores and ingots for you. To start making it, it's a big old machine. We're going to need a lot of steel sheet metal slabs on the bottom like this. And then, oops, this is actually wrong. On either side is then 2 blocks of steel and a heavy engineering block. The back and sides here are actually steel sheet metal, a piece of steel scaffolding, and a cauldron. Then on the middle, add a redstone engineering block on the front, 6 reinforced blast bricks. So yes, there is like basically a gap where these are slabs and these are not. 3 light engineering blocks, and then 2 and 2 heavy ones with another block of steel on each side. Going up another level, then bring out the reinforced blast brick, sort of like this. So you've got 2 more at the front, but again, the same 6 here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, basically. We're then going to add some sheet metal on top, and then another 3 light engineering blocks. So on the back, basically, there's going to be heavy here, heavy here, heavy here, and then light in the middle. 2 more blocks of steel. So 1, 2, 3 blocks of steel here. And then on top of that, you're going to add another 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 reinforced blast bricks. Add 2 and 2 steel scaffolding, 2 light engineering blocks, and then bring that out like, well, I won't say what that looks like, but but yeah, that's how you make it. And then you just right-click the cauldron. And ta-da! You've made the arc furnace. It is crazy big. There's 3 slots here, as you can see at the back, for where you're going to basically plug in your electricity. I'm using HV through a relay here. Oops, what have I done? Oh, that's medium voltage. Through the back here, so 3 plugs at the back. Slag is going to come out the back here. That's basically your waste product. You can pipe that out. And the ores or outputs are going to come out the front. If we right-click and go into it, it looks complex, but it's actually really not. This left slot is basically where you're going to put your ores. Let's say I want to make some... I've just dug up loads of iron ore. I can put it in here, and you can see that it's heating up slowly. As it heats up, that's when it's then going to go down to the output slot. Your slag is also going to come in. I can just delete that for now, because it only has this 1 slot for slag. I think there's 6 for your output and just 1 slot for the slag output. And you can see here then the iron ingot comes through to this 6 output slot. I can also make in here things like constantan or bronze. Let's say we want to make some bronze using copper and tin. So in this secondary slot, that's where you put, well, your secondary items. So I'm going to put copper ingots in the left slot, and then I'm going to put tin in the right slot, and that's actually going to automatically pull these down together into the output as bronze. We then have this top bar, and this is where you put your graphite electrodes. Notice that the integrity is going down. This huge machine will need replacement for the graphite electrodes, which they call maintenance. So basically the graphite electrodes will only last so long, and then you have to replace them. To make them, you need to make a furnace electrodes blueprint, which you can't actually by default make. You need to find it, I believe, in like treasure chests, etc., or from villagers. And you make HOP graphite ingots. To make that, you're going to smelt up HOP graphite dust, which is made in the industrial squeezer from coke dust or pet coke dust. And I showed you the squeezer earlier, of course. The coke dust is made from crushing coal coke in the crusher. So you put coal coke in the crusher into coke dust, and then you put that in the squeezer into HOP graphite dust, and then just smelt that up into HOP graphite ingots, which can then be made into the electrodes, which you then put in your arc furnace. Now, it's really cool. You've got all these flames coming out the top of it, like you can see here. You can input items, by the way, in these two input slots up here. And you can see it actually melting it all down here, which is really cool. And your items will come out the front. And same as other machines, you can add the redstone control here. And that is how you use the arc furnace. Now, if you're wondering, okay, cool, I can smelt up all of these ores, but how the hell am I going to mine them all with immersive engineering? Well, that is where the final machine, the ore excavator, comes in. As you can see, they're really starting to get quite complex. It's actually a two-part multi-block, which is a tad annoying to build. So, as you can see here, this is the excavator. It's got power, and it's turning around this bucket wheel, which will import the ores into here. I actually do want to show you. Now, it will do ores that aren't technically there, if that makes sense. But if I put... Can I put these in here? Will it dig them up? Yes, look, here we go. So it will actually pick up the ore, the blocks that are there, like this, and it will do it with ores as well, and it will dump them into here, which is so nice. Redstone here is at the back, and again, you can pump them out of this back hole here for all of your ores. Now, you can't just place it anywhere and it will start building, finding ores. You are going to need to use this, a core drill, a core sample drill. You need to give it power, going into these little bits here. And I can simply right-click it. You can see the drill going down. And it's going to come back up. And if I right-click it, I'm going to get a core sample. So it's basically drilled down into the earth and said, what's going on down here? And if I look at it, you can see there's no minerals. And where was the sample taken? So you basically go around with the core sample drill. And how you use it is that you would just go into different chunks and try and find one with the mineral you want. And once the vein is drained, so they can have up to, I think, like 38,000 ores in each vein. And this will eventually deplete them and then you have to move it. But it is like 38,000 ore. So, you know, it's kind of pros and cons here. To actually make this behemoth, you need to slot in the wheel, which is really simply made like this. And if I get my hammer, well, I'm in creative, so I don't know why I'm using my hammer. But if I actually like break this one, and I break the hammer, you can see here where I have put in, I've slotted it in, sort of thing. And if I show you in here, this basically looks like this. I'm so bad at turning these. Here we go. So in the front, you can see you've got your heavy machine, and you just start off against that one in here with this bit here, with the block of steel, and you just start building it in there. I did have to break this part of the excavator to actually right-click this. So if I put my block of steel on here, it is this block here in the middle, so this middle piece of steel that you have to right-click with your engineer's hammer to make it into the multi-block, which means you will have to break through the excavator, which is a bit silly and annoying, but there we go. And I'm just going to replace my heavy engineering block. So it's basically some steel at the bottom, steel at the side, light engineering blocks, sheet metal, radiators, a radiator here, redstone, heavy, sheet metal, and some light ones there. And then it's going to right click the middle heavy engineering block, and then it will just start going again if you do have an accident, etc., with it like that. And that is how you build and use it. So it is actually quite simple. Oh, you power it in here. I don't think I mentioned that. You power it in the sides here. Yeah, redstone here, output items there. And that is it, guys. That is it for Immersive Engineering. Quite literally, that is everything you could possibly need to know. I really hope this guide was useful for you. In the description, I'm going to put a link to my playlist of all my Minecraft mod tutorials. You may or may not notice on this channel, I do a lot of different game tutorial how-tos. Minecraft being a big one of them. I don't want you to miss out on the other mods like Mechanism and Power and whatever mods I'm going to do after this, of course. It's got the excavator, the arc furnace. We've looked at lightning rods. We've looked at diesel and generating that. We have the refinery, squeezer and fermenter, assemblers and sawmills, and all of these other cool machines. We've looked at basic power generation and also how we're going to move power around. We've looked at the basics as well. And that is the complete guide to immersive engineering.